Eight, 9, 100. Oh, hi there. Didn't realize we were going to be starting so soon, but that's okay. As always, I am Mark Sallin, your host of MuscleHead Medical, and this week I'd like to talk to you about something really important. This week we're going to talk about Ebola hemorrhagic fever. It's not something that we're totally common with here in the Western world, but it is potentially threatening, so I'd like to address it. Now, there are 5 different species of Ebola that we found since it was first discovered in 1976 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And of those 5, there are 4 actually that have shown to affect humans and be somewhat threatening. Of those, and those 4 are the Zaire virus, the Typhus virus, the Sudan virus, and the Buding-Bugyo virus. Side note, each of those was named for the geographical location that it was found in. Now, the question is, what exactly is the Ebola virus? Well, the Ebola virus is a type of filovirus, and in simplest terms, it basically affects the way that your blood clots. It causes your capillaries to actually leak, which creates severe internal bleeding. It can lead to severe dehydration. Blood will actually, in certain cases, if it gets bad enough, if it progresses to its latest stages, it can actually start to pool and run from your openings on your body, so you would see literal blood pouring from the mouth, nose, and eye sockets, and in certain cases, even the ears. It can lead to liver and renal failure as well. So it's a pretty bad guy, and you don't want to mess with him. Now, from a biological point of view, as I said, it's a filovirus, and basically what that means is it's a part of the filovirus family. So it has filamentous RNA virus. It causes severe hemorrhagic fever in humans and primates. So a certain trait of the filovirus family is that it's pleomorphic in its shape. So the cells themselves can actually look like almost like an A structure or even like a 6 structure, but then there are smaller structures that literally are just like miniature copies of those, but they do the exact same thing. And the problem with this is that we really haven't come to a point where we know exactly how the Ebola virus reproduces. So we're not able to target and kill it because it just keeps reproducing and reproducing and reproducing new cells, and we haven't come up with medically a way to stop this. So the science isn't there yet, but we're still working on this. So I'd like to talk about its origin. As I mentioned, it was founded in 1976 in the Democratic Republic of Congo, well, what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo. And we don't exactly know who is the carrier of it, but because of its similarities to other diseases, we believe that it's carried by the fruit bat somewhere in the rainforest of either Asia or Africa. So that would make this a zoonotic, or just an animal-borne, for layman's terms, virus that it gets transmitted via one-on-one contact or exchange of bodily fluids, such as when a bat would bite a primate and a primate might bite a human. Well, we're also primates. And say that my patient was to transmit it to me, it would have to come from a bodily fluid of hers. So I'd have to come into contact with, let's say I pricked her with a needle, and then that needle pricked me. I'm at great risk for Ebola. Or if some of her vomit got on me, or her diarrhea, or even if she coughed into my mouth in some weird way, like that could also lead for me to contract Ebola. So the signs and symptoms of Ebola. So it starts out looking like your typical fever, honestly. Sweaty, headaches, muscle aches, sore throat. Just typical normal stuff. You might think she had a cold. It becomes life-threatening, though, incredibly fast. And in fact, certain strains of Ebola have shown to have as high as a 90% fatality rate. So it's important that you find out what you're dealing with sooner rather than later. And the only way really to know, as my patient's waking up, is to do a blood test and test for the antibodies that are equated with Ebola virus. But then again, you have to be worried, because if it has progressed to a certain point, then bleeding out is a huge potential factor. So it's better to catch it sooner rather than later. And for a caretaker, what I want to do to prevent myself from getting it is, because we don't have a direct course of treatment yet, because we don't know enough about the virus itself, we offer comfort measures. So I'd start an IV to keep her hydrated, because if it does progress, she's going to lose a lot of fluids quickly. I'd monitor her blood pressure, because again, as blood thins out, her blood pressure will either drop or it'll change. It won't be baseline. So we want to watch that, and we want to watch for those signs. But I want to protect myself. So what we operate in here is we have her isolated in this room. I was scrubbed down in a chemical bath before I came in. If this was a real scenario, I'd be scrubbed down in a chemical bath, and I'd have a hazmat suit on. And that hazmat suit would also be scrubbed down in a chemical bath to make sure that Ebola virus is not sticking to me and making it out of that quarantined area. Because what we want to do is called barrier nursing. We want to prevent that virus from escaping the host. My infected patient over here, we don't want her to infect anyone else with this deadly, deadly virus, mainly because we aren't sure how to treat it yet. Well, that's all for today. Thanks as always for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a little bit about Ebola, and as always, I wish you a clean bill of health. Thank you, guys.